Xiao Chen, should we decide whether we win or lose in one motion? Duan Muqing softly questioned. Xiao Chen did not object to her idea. Make your move, then, he replied while nodding. Snow Fury. Duan Muqing executed her best move as her silky black hair turned entirely white. Her thin sword was covered with frost, and the blade was sharply pulsing with ice. It appeared as though the world and the sea would be submerged in her ice state. Ka-cha. Xiao Chen drew his sword and unleashed a 30% completed saber intent. The blade released a surge of crystalline saber chi that appeared to be solid. Despite having the size of the ice state, the saber chi's power did not lessen. Duan Muqing was aware that Xiao Chen had been gentle with her as it went on to breach her defensive essence shield and left a shallow wound on her body. She was astounded by his strength at the same time. The difference between Xiao Chen and Duan Muqing could no longer be described as a mere gap at the conclusion. During the crucial moment, he was still able to control his saber chi as he pleased. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. Your state of ice seems to have slightly taken form, so it looks mightier. He commented after giving it some attention. Its strength is truly spread out, though. You are not Lu Xiaoyun. This type of exhibition cannot endure even one hit from an opponent without adequate assistance. You'd do better to transform your ice condition into icy wind and use it into your sword technique. Although its aura would be weaker, it is denser. Duan Muqing pondered this after hearing this. She appeared to have discovered something as she thought. Many thanks. Victory and defeat had already been decided when she finally said it. It was impossible for Duan Muqing's jade pendant to resist shooting a golden light into Xiao Chen's jade pendant, and the latter immediately noticed that his golden dragon had become stronger. In addition, it felt incredibly joyful. The next game featured Sima Lingxuan. His rival did not even dare to look him in the eye before his strong sense of self-assurance. He immediately conceded defeat after ascending the wind cloud platform. Sima Lingxuan's lips quivered and his head shook slightly as he watched the golden line enter his jade pendant. How boring, he exclaimed as the competition continued methodically. In accordance with past patterns, when common competitors faced off against the scions of the 8 noble clans or young giants like Xuanyuan Zontian, they would decide to give up the match. Otherwise, they would need the ability to decide the outcome in a single action in order to comprehend the size of the gap between them and these giants. As a result, the competition moved forward at a respectable clip. After 2 hours, the first round was over. They had already completed 12 rounds by dusk. The little golden dragon in Xiao Chen's jade pendant was not only bright, but it also showed no signs of dimness. Xiao Chen had won all 12 of his matches, not losing a single one. It also appeared to be substantially bigger, taking up the entire jade pendant. With one more triumph, it appeared as though it would be able to escape the jade pendant. As for Murong Chong's little golden dragon, it was in no way comparable to Xiao Chen's. Only 5 of the 12 games were victories for Murong Chong. In addition to not growing, his golden dragon also somewhat shrank and got dimmer. Murong Chong felt a little defeated when he sneakily caught a glimpse of the golden dragon in Xiao Chen's jade pendant. It was quite annoying. His results wouldn't look as bad as they did right now if Xiao Chen didn't exist, and they would be enough to shake the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion. However, when compared to Xiao Chen, the difference was immediately apparent. Murong Chong's golden dragon could not even be compared to an earthworm, it did not even resemble a dragon. Murong Chong was in a deep depression. He would be embarrassed to discuss his findings when he got back. Roar. Right at this precise instant, a sharp crack, and a dragon roar could be heard. The jade pendant at Wang Quan's belt broke after he overcame his adversary. A 17-meter-long 5-clawed dragon with a golden flash circled above him. It broke. The golden dragon managed to escape after 13 triumphs in a row. It was already 17 meters long when it emerged. It appears that his luck was strong right off the bat. The average participant's golden dragons would only be about 10 meters long when they broke free. In the previous 5-nation youth competition, Wang Quan finished 6th. How can his luck be compared to that of common cultivators? Quote. Ka-cha, ka-cha. How awesome. After Wang Quan's golden dragon emerged, the golden dragons of the previous 5-nation youth competition's top 10 and a few others began to emerge as well. The Golden Dragon of Gong Yangyu is a little less powerful than Qian Wen's, which is likewise 17 meters long. Although it is only 15 meters long and only slightly longer than Lu Xiaoyun's, Bai Qi's Golden Dragon is stronger if we are talking about power. It measures 20 meters. His luck is amazing, as he finished second in the last 5-nation youth competition. A 20-meter-long golden dragon that stood out in the crowd loomed over Bai Qi after his contest was over. It defeated every other golden dragon circling in the air. Sima Lingxuan vs Gao Wei in the next match. Sima Lingxuan's figure flickered a few times before reaching the wind cloud platform after the referee's voice was heard. It is likely that Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon will erupt following this match. How long will his golden dragon last, I wonder? Will it be able to exceed Bai Qi's? It will undoubtedly be better than Bai Qi's. The only question is how much. 1 or 2 meters. There was eager anticipation among the crowd. They were particularly interested in the size of this man's golden dragon because he exuded confidence and won first place in both of the 5-nation youth competitions. The competitor, Gao Wei, was a follower of the Great Jin Nation sect. They had a lot of riches despite not being one of the 10 major sects. Gao Wei did not lack resources because of his sect, which held more than 10 spirit veins. He also possessed exceptional talent and was raised in the spiritual energy-rich Great Jin Nation. As a result, he very quickly entered the top 100. However, Gao Wei was soon defeated when he learned that Sima Lingxuan was his adversary. He walked up to the wind cloud platform very unwillingly. When going against the other scions of the noble clans, even if Gao Wei knew that he could not defeat them, he would opt to decide matters in one move. He would strive to understand anything from that movement. But when it came to Sima Lingxuan, he had no choice but to concede defeat. This was due to the fact that Sima Lingxuan's aura and his great sense of self-confidence had already melded entirely. Those who had weak wills would feel inferior when they looked at Sima Lingxuan. They wouldn't even be able to exert half of their strength in such conditions. How could they possibly discuss trading blows? That was just a joke. I concede defeat. The 12th opponent of Sima Lingxuan made the same decision as his predecessors to concede defeat right away, as the fans had expected. Following Gao Wei's admission of defeat, a golden beam of light emerged from the jade pendant at his waist. They did not even have the courage to exchange a single move. The light then instantly pierced Sima Lingxuan's jade pendant. Ka-cha! A jade pendant broke, making a loud cracking noise. A 27-meter-long, 5-clawed golden dragon with claws and fangs encircled Sima Lingxuan's head while a brilliant golden light flashed nearby. The 27-meter-long golden dragon instantly subdued Bai Qi's 20-meter-long golden dragon as it carelessly flew into the air. It was distinct from the group of golden dragons and had a tyrannical appearance. Sima Lingxuan certainly lives up to his name. His strength is understandable. He is impossible to defeat with such powerful luck. That is true. I wonder if Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon can reach 30 meters. That is a number that represents the peak. He would be able to truly reach the apex. The moment Sima Lingxuan's jade pendant broke and the golden dragon symbolizing his luck appeared, it stunned and shocked the crowd. Xiao Chen also experienced shock as he gazed at Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon. I wonder how much luck I have, he pondered. But when Xiao Chen considered it, he did not anticipate that it would be as much as Sima Lingxuan's. It would at most be on par with Wang Quan's and the others. It would be a little bit worse than Bai Qi's. After all, Xiao Chen had just recently entered this planet. His luck would be lower than Wang Quan's and the others if he had not been able to get to the 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower, but Xiao Chen was unconcerned about this. This was only the beginning. Chu Chaoyun noticed Sima Lingxuan's luck flying overhead and noticed a hint of undeniable desire flashing in his eyes. As long as he kept winning, his luck would gradually increase while his opponent's luck would decrease. The luck of the wind cloud arena is very strong, he murmured to himself. It is even stronger than the luck of my Tianwu royal clan. However, after this great competition, that is where your luck will end. As the matches of the 13th round continued, the participants ranked highly in the previous 5-nation youth competition managed to consecutively defeat their 13th opponent. The jade pendants at their waist shattered and turned into golden dragons soaring into the air. Next match, Nangong Ziyu vs Li Tianhua. The last five-nation youth competition saw Nangong Ziyu place 7th. Li Tianhua, the 5th-place finisher in the previous five-nation youth competition, was the scion of the Li clan, one of the 8 noble clans. Eventually, in the 13th round, a match between the giants appeared on the Wind Cloud platform. The heirs of the 8 noble clans competed in this contest. Li Tianhua practiced the coiling dragon spear technique while using a spear, which grabbed a lot of attention right away. It was a pinnacle superior grade earth-ranked martial technique known for its oppressive might. The coiling dragon was one of the nobler species and contained a significant amount of true dragon's blood, just like the flood dragon, the horned dragon, the earth dragon, and the fire dragon. The coiling dragon was also a high-ranking spirit beast with the bloodline of dragons. The coiling dragon generally stayed on Earth because it had lost its capacity to soar into the 9 heavens, but the strength it could exhibit there was still comparable to that of a true dragon. Mountains and the earth might be readily separated by it. It was frequently referred to as a real dragon of the soil. Xiao Chen was familiar with Li Tianhua's movements. He could predict the result of the match as the two of them ascended to the Wind Cloud platform. Li Tianhua was not on par with Nangong Ziyu. In situations where opponents had comparable levels of cultivation, one could win only by techniques and tricks when their states were countered. The match went as Xiao Chen had anticipated. Li Tianhua's state was, coincidentally, the nemesis of the state of mountain and water. Holding the spear, Li Tianhua employed the strength of a coiling dragon. His spear moved with the appearance of a coiling dragon, its aura was overwhelming. The immortal mountains and rivers fist of Nangong Ziyu was usually subdued while it was on the ground, however occasionally the tall mountains would be broken into pieces and the rivers would surge and splash up. As a result, it became very difficult for Nangong Ziyu to summon the power of the state of the mountains and waters. As a result, his fist technique lost some of its tyranny. Nangong Ziyu grimaced a lot. She avoided direct conflict in an effort to salvage the situation. She tried to employ strategies to win instead, but it was too late. Nangong Ziyu had lost her initiative and momentum. Nothing Nangong Ziyu did could alter the fact that Li Tianhua controlled the battle's rhythm. In the end, Nangong Ziyu could only put everything on a last-ditch effort. To determine triumph or defeat in one motion, she made use of her weak state and hit with both fists, performing the immortal mountains and rivers fist. Li Tianhua feigned a smile. Now that victory was within reach, he used the coiling dragon spear technique's most powerful move. 2 spear lights were released from the spear's tip as it trembled. With Nangong Ziyu's 2 fists, they transformed into 2 fierce coiling dragons, and as they collided, the deficient state of the mountains and waters was destroyed. As Nangong Ziyu took 10 steps back, he helplessly conceded defeat. Suddenly, some of his luck was taken by a flash of golden light. The golden dragon that Li Tianhua was wearing as a pendant also came loose. His luck was one of the people at the peak, and it was 19 meters long. Match number 50, Xiao Chen vs Bai Zhan. This was both the final game of the day and the last game of the 13th round. It was now Xiao Chen's chance to engage in combat. A flash of deadly purpose appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes as he watched Bai Zhan approach the Wind Cloud platform, in addition to the fact that his opponent was someone he knew. Bai Zhan was deeply conflicted as he made his way slowly and with heavy footsteps to the Wind Cloud platform. He had initially believed that once he had successfully combined his ice and fire, he would be able to completely vanquish Xiao Chen. Gong Yangyu was much stronger than Bai Zhan, a fact that Bai Zhan reluctantly acknowledged. Who knew, Xiao Chen's improvement was even greater than his, even Gong Yangyu lost to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was now significantly stronger than Bai Zhan, and not just by 1 or 2 levels. Nevertheless, when Bai Zhan saw Xiao Chen ascend the Wind Cloud platform, his expression of resignation instantly changed. Xiao Chen, congrats on your winning streak, he grinned and added. You haven't dropped a game yet. It appears that you will undoubtedly place in the top 10. Xiao Chen remained silent, a strong desire to kill brewing in his heart. His body was filled with a dense crystal essence that allowed him to instantaneously perform any kind of deadly maneuver when needed. Unfortunately, no matter how strong you are, you cannot defend your friends, Bai Zhan added with a broad smile. Your buddies Jin Dabao, Xiao Bai, Murong Chong, Ding Fengqiu, and Chu Mu will ultimately run into me in the 100 matches, and their fate will be just as awful as Zuo Mo's. You will be the reason for all of this. They will get to the point that they do, Xiao Chen, because of you. None of them will have a happy ending because you, Xiao Chen, have offended me. Since Bai Zhan could not harm Xiao Chen, he vented his rage on Xiao Chen's friends. He had no regard for his reputation or social standing. Such a mindset was comparable to that of the lowest members of society. Xiao Chen's heart raced with the desire to murder. Are you done? He sternly asked. Bai Zhan grinned even more menacingly when he noticed Xiao Chen's anger. Ahahaha, getting angry. Wish to strike me. Unfortunately, you are unable to. You can only watch as I torment each of your pals individually. I admit, Bai Zhan wished to give up the game. Unfortunately, he was unable to complete his thought. He wailed pitifully, refusing to concede that Xiao Chen had moved. Xiao Chen used lightning evasion when Bai Zhan was speaking. He got there before Bai Zhan with a bolt of lightning. A move was made by Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen used lightning evasion when Bai Zhan was speaking. He approached Bai Zhan before him in a flash of lightning. The vital qi in Xiao Chen's body surged, and he launched a berserk dragon fist at Bai Zhan's chest. Bai Zhan was about to finish speaking when this happened, preventing him from finishing since on the wind cloud platform, if one side conceded defeat, the other side had to stop attacking. Here, this was the unbreakable rule. No one, not even Sima Lingxuan, could disobey it. Bai Zhan sought to take advantage of this law. He intended to frustrate Xiao Chen with his statements before conceding defeat. Unfortunately, Bai Zhan had not anticipated Xiao Chen to have such an odd technique. If I cannot defeat you, I will make you feel frustrated. Without pausing to think, Bai Zhan began moving his hands as soon as Xiao Chen managed to get in front of him. Before accepting defeat, he wanted to briefly force Xiao Chen back. A chilly wind formed at Bai Zhan's left hand, and a rising flame was at his right. The raging frost flame palm was his most effective move. Fire and ice are held in opposite hands. The mix of cold and heat would cause some discomfort in the adversary. When dealing with this, even a cultivator more powerful than Bai Zhan would need to exercise caution. Breaking armor. Seizing the heart. Xiao Chen performed breaking armor while clenching his right hand. The piercing azure energy dispersed Bai Zhan's raging frost flame palm's palm wind like the autumn wind raking up dead leaves. He then used his left hand as a claw to perform seizing the heart. On his hand, a superimposed dragon claw in azure materialized. With a limitless murdering purpose, Xiao Chen continued relentlessly toward Bai Zhan's chest after raking Bai Zhan's raging frost flame palm, breaking it into ice pieces. Without a doubt, Bai Zhan would perish if this claw touched him. He would not even have the chance to speak. Bai Zhan grew terribly terrified and paled. He made a swift move at the critical time. A cold wind blew on the enormous wind cloud platform, but the cold wind felt hot. He quickly merged the ice and fire attributed essence in his body. Ice and fire came together in this same way. Raging frost flame wave. Ferociously roaring, Bai Zhan also made a perfect angle with his hands by moving one up and one down. The energy with the characteristics of fire and ice entangled and shot out toward Xiao Chen. However, things did not turn out the way Bai Zhan had hoped. He had only hoped to delay Xiao Chen for a few seconds, long enough for him to concede defeat. He had no chance, according to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen released the peak small perfection saber intent by placing his right hand on the lunar shadow saber's hilt. At its fastest, the crystal essence that was flowing through his body gushed out of the saber's blade. With the assistance of saber intent, the already razor-sharp crystalline saber qi became even more razor-sharp. It quickly split the raging frost flame wave in two with a ka-cha sound. The point where the fire and ice combined was its precise target, and crystalline lightning surged all over the saber qi as it pierced Bai Zhan's defense mechanism, the essence shield. Then, a horrifying wound on his chest appeared. It was so deep that bones could be seen. Powerful essence with the lightning attribute poured into Bai Zhan's body and burst his meridians. All of Bai Zhan's meridians were broken by Xiao Chen's unbridled attack. Bai Zhan wanted to pass away because the pain was so excruciating. In pain and unable to speak coherently, he rolled on the ground. Xiao Chen had already decided that Bai Zhan was someone he had to kill. But this wasn't the right moment to do it. Bai Zhan's meridians were damaged, so even with miraculous treatment, he would not be able to quickly regain his strength. As a result, he would likely cause some trouble for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He was no longer a danger to Xiao Chen's friends at this point. If he were unlucky, he might even become a cripple if he couldn't locate medicine to cure his meridians for the rest of his life. Xiao Chen typically had a very friendly appearance. Although he rarely spoke, rarely became angry, and never killed anyone, even dragons had reverse scales. Everyone who touched them would perish. Xiao Chen also has his reverse scales. Anyone who ventured to make threats against their friends or family would be subject to attacks that were 100 or even 1,000 times worse. He would not show pity, regardless of who it was, whether they were extraordinarily intelligent or supported by a powerful sect. Shu. Bai Zan's jade pendant immediately emitted a golden ray of light that swept into Xiao Chen's. The 15-meter-long golden dragon inside, which was already getting anxious, promptly tore free of the jade pendant and circled above his head. It was not significantly weaker than those of the other scions of the 8 noble clans, with the exception of Bai Qi's and Sima Lingxuan's golden dragons. Xiao Chen tried to sense it and found that the soaring golden dragon seemed to have an effect on his spirit. It rapidly restored his enthusiasm and helped him feel less worn out and exhausted. His golden dragon's size did not surprise him. Its additional purpose, however, brought him a welcome surprise. How surprising! The length of Xiao Chen's golden dragon is 15 meters. He has never before obtained luck, and this is his first time competing in the 5-nation youth competition. Could it be that Xiao Chen actually possesses the strength to battle with the scions of the 8 noble clans? He is only a follower of a great Qin nation sect. In comparison to the descendants of the 8 noble clans, his standing is too dissimilar. Consider this. He has not yet lost a match, regardless of the ranking matches or the elimination rounds, he has won them all. Even those who were viewed as having a chance to break his winning streak were defeated by him. With Xiao Chen's golden dragon emerging from its jade pendant, the first day of the ranking matches came to a conclusion. The audience had a new perspective on Xiao Chen, the competitor with the longest winning streak, after the final match of the day. The crowd had a drawn-out night filled with expectation and excitement. The 14th round started as the morning sun finally burst through the night. Numerous golden dragons emerged from their jade pendants as the rounds came to a close. There were dozens of golden dragons flying around in the sky, occasionally roaring viciously and squabbling with one another. Xiao Chen soon made a discovery. The amount of luck gained would be greater if the opponent's golden dragon were more powerful. The amount obtained can be negligible if the opponent was weak. Sima Lingxuan, for instance, was simply too powerful, making all of his rivals' golden dragons much weaker. Additionally, he didn't run into any formidable rivals. His golden dragon was still around 27 meters long as a result of this. Not even a single meter was added. Golden dragons belonging to the scions of the other noble clans, however, had substantially grown. The length of the golden dragons of Li Tianhua, Wang Quan, and Yu Chengxi was 20 meters. Golden dragons owned by Xuanyuan Zantian and Chu Chaoyun were slightly longer than 17 meters, falling just short of the scions of the noble clans and catching up swiftly. Bai Qi was the one whose golden dragon grew the fastest. Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon was only 3 meters shorter than his at 24 meters, but he didn't seem to mind. Sima Lingxuan gave a slender smile. A golden dragon that was 30 meters long was his intended prey. No matter how quickly these individuals caught up to Sima Lingxuan, their golden dragons would only serve as a homage to him after he attained overwhelming luck and became the only genuine dragon in the Sky Dome realm. That luck would be his once he had defeated them. Match 35, Xiao Chen vs Fang Yunfei. This round was the 25th. Xiao Chen did not face any formidable rivals in the early games. Despite defeating them all, his golden dragon only grew to a height of 17 meters. It wasn't quite ready to overtake the golden dragons of the other geniuses yet. The foremost pupil of the Divine Saber Gate was Fang Yunfei. His saber technique was exceptional, and he had a large quantity of luck. He may be regarded as a respectable opponent for Xiao Chen because of his more than 14-meter-long golden dragon. Fang Yunfei was tall and stout. After using his luck, Xiao Chen's golden dragon would be able to grow considerably. He appeared to be very strong and had a broad back. But Fang Yunfei's enormous blade appeared to be even more sturdy than he was. It was around 10 centimeters wide and nearly as tall as he was. It was made from an alloy of 81 precious ores, was extremely sharp and durable, and weighed somewhere around 400 kilograms. Just from this weapon, it was obvious how powerful and violent Fang Yunfei's saber technique was. Wide attacks with lots of momentum would overwhelm the opposition and result in a forceful victory. Xiao Chen, I have a request. Would you please fight with me without using saber intent? If you do not use saber intent, no matter the result, I will admit defeat. Everyone was astonished by Fang Yunfei's odd request. His eyes burned with a burning desire for Xiao Chen to concur. As long as you agree, I will immediately inform the referee. I only want a fair fight with you, to fight a battle between bladesmen. I promise that my saber techniques will not disappoint you. In a conflict between bladesmen, the side that did not understand saber purpose would be at a significant disadvantage. The winner was obvious when both parties were at the same level of cultivation. This was the reason Fang Yunfei had asked for it. When he noticed Xiao Chen was silent, Fang Yunfei waited impatiently. The personality of Fang Yunfei was quite simple. He had trouble speaking clearly, so he would say what was on his mind without hesitating. Xiao Chen muttered to himself, I haven't met this kind of person in a very long time already. His rival has no interest in winning. As a fellow bladesman, Fang Yunfei appreciated Xiao Chen's strength and pursued the fight instead. In contrast to his opponent, Xiao Chen appeared to be in an urgent mental state. He wanted a fair match with Xiao Chen, using the fierce battle to expose the shortcomings of his own saber techniques. He had solely considered how to boost his luck since the ranking bouts began. A ripple appeared in his previously calm mental state, something that he himself had not realized. Xiao Chen came back to his senses. Then, he performed a cupped fist salute and said, I am honored that your distinguished self looks up to me like that. In that case, I will not use saber intent. Let's have a fair match together. There is also no need for you to make any promises. If you defeat me, I, Xiao Chen, will also lose. The moment Xiao Chen said this, the crowd recognized it as odd. These were the final ranking matches, and a win or loss would have an impact on the ultimate ranking. One could not reach a draw like Chu Chaoyun and Xuanyuan Zantian did in the elimination matches, which would effectively minimize the impact on the points earned. The difference in ranking would have an impact on the amount of luck obtained, which would have an eternal impact on a cultivator. Is this Xiao Chen crazy? Fang Yunfei has quite a lot of luck. His golden dragon is more than 13 meters long. If Xiao Chen wins, his golden dragon will able to catch up to those of Wang Quan and the others immediately. That is not the only problem. If Xiao Chen is defeated, his loss will be tremendous. If someone stronger loses to someone weaker, their golden dragon will be significantly drained. Fang Yunfei is not weak. The Divine Saber Gate's resources are not something the Heavenly Saber Pavilion can equal. The outcome of this match is hard to predict if Xiao Chen does not use saber intent. The cultivators watching from the stands were all unable to comprehend what was happening. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen was prepared to give up saber intent in a battle between bladesmen. If one party had saber intent, the outcome would be largely predetermined. He made the decision to forfeit his edge at this critical time. Maybe he didn't think about what would happen if he lost. A complicated expression appeared in Fang Yunfei's eyes. He said, I am Fang Yunfei from the Great Jin Nation's Divine Saber Gate. I hope to be able to experience your exquisite techniques. Shoo. Fang Yunfei concluded his speech by grabbing his enormous blade with one hand and bursting forth with a powerful explosion of his muscular physique. It was similar to a flame that had been gathering energy for a long time and suddenly flared, sending a surge through the entire atmosphere. Fire Cloud Saber Technique. Furiously roaring, Fang Yunfei gathered fiery red essence onto his massive saber. Then, behind him, clumps of fiery red clouds appeared, enveloping him in a great atmosphere and a wide aura. The wind and clouds were gathering as the clouds moved. Xiao Chen quickly performed the Lightning Tribulation Saber Technique's opening move. He drew the Lunar Shadow Saber and at once the winds blew hard and the clouds collected. Bang! The swords collided. Sparks flew everywhere as two completely distinct but incredibly powerful forces clashed. Without the assistance of saber intent, Xiao Chen had no means to force his opponent back with a single assault as the wind blew, filling the air with a blaze of color. After all, his rival was choosing the road of force, which was ideal for a direct confrontation. Xiao Chen could only move forward slowly, gradually gaining momentum. Dang, dang, dang. They were not pushed back, either. The two swiftly engaged in combat as the saber light swirled about them. Everyone was jolted by the explosion of various forces in the air. The ferocious wind was followed by flames, who both became stronger and accelerated. They quickly traded more than 200 moves. In the spectator stands, the cultivators could barely make out two hazy figures and the erratic movements of saber lights as lightning and flames clashed loudly. Boundless sea of flames. Fang Yunfei completed accumulating aura in a flash. He manifested a raging sea of fire after backing up 10 steps. His state of cloud changed to one of formless ethereality as the intense heat waves infused into his saber. Fire trails followed the saber light wherever it went. It appeared to be both true and false, genuine and illusory. As a genius bladesman himself, Bai Qi paid special attention to this match. When he saw Fang Yunfei's move, he nodded slightly. He said, "Not bad." He knows that he is unable to truly achieve a boundless sea of flames, so he made use of the cloud's ethereal and formless nature. This created an imitation of a boundless sea of flames. However, he managed to reproduce its aura. Let's see how Xiao Chen deals with this. As he used his spiritual sense to scan the area, Xiao Chen had glowing eyes. He soon found Fang Yunfei's true location in the blazing air. Thunder light chop. The dense clouds overhead burst into brilliant light. Then, as the light built up on the saber, it formed a brilliant and resplendent saber light that fell from the sky and crashed into Fang Yunfei's extraordinary boundless sea of flames. The sea of flames instantly erupted, flickering ceaselessly. As the fictitious fire and smoke dispersed, Fang Yunfei's location amid the sea of fire became clear. Earthly lightning tribulation. With just one motion, Xiao Chen had shattered his opponent's saber technique. He then increased his momentum to its maximum using the winds and clouds of the lightning tribulation saber technique. The energy associated with lightning in the earth quickly poured into the saber, resonating with the thunderclouds and becoming the raging lightning. A whirlpool of electricity formed and started raining down a lightning tribulation. Fang Yunfei had no idea how powerful this attack would be. It much exceeded his expectations. His right hand, which held his massive blade, trembled as he confronted it head-on, appearing as though his entire arm had become numb. Heavenly lightning tribulation. Xiao Chen flipped in the air. He was surrounded by wind and lightning as his white robes flitted. The overpowering, emotionless, and heartless quality of heaven unleashing a lightning tribulation and destroying everything was perfectly infused into the saber technique. Fang Yunfei, who was on the ground, felt fear. It appeared as though the skies were genuinely enraged with him and were determined to annihilate him with lightning tribulation. No, his aura cannot affect me. Fang Yunfei shook his head violently, forcing himself to shake off the fear he had been feeling. If I don't, I'll definitely die. He then flew into the never-ending flames. Behind him, a burning giant appeared. The giant resembled a holy being who battled heaven without fear of its power. Once more, Fang Yunfei's momentum increased. A long saber-shaped chi of fire was released after the gigantic and the flames combined. A powerful heat wave swept through, appearing to burn even the air. Fang Yunfei's saber was thrown aside when Xiao Chen's saber collided with it. The massive saber, which weighed more than 400 kilograms, gradually flew out, giving the impression that a piece of wood was gliding downward. Dang! The crowd's misperception was dispelled by the thunderous sound the saber made as it touched the ground. It was terribly embarrassing for him to not even be able to hold on to his saber as a bladesman. Fang Yunfei, on the other hand, was aware that it would have been worse if Xiao Chen had not refrained on his move. The one flying would be himself. Fang Yunfei revealed a bitter smile on his face. He said, "The gap is too great. Even without using saber intent, your saber techniques far surpass mine. There should be another move after the heavenly lightning tribulation, right?" Xiao Chen nodded and said, "That's right. After that, there is the divine lightning tribulation." Fang Yunfei sighed softly. The rage of heaven is already so terrifying. I wonder what the rage of a deity is like. Many thanks for the lesson. I have lost. Fang Yunfei promptly conceded defeat and stopped engaging in combat. With a flash of light, Xiao Chen's golden dragon quickly grew to 19 meters, propelling him into the top competitors. Xiao Chen's golden dragon immediately launched itself over and swallowed up a portion of Fang Yunfei's golden dragon. He won again. Unexpectedly, he did not need saber intent to defeat Fang Yunfei. Doesn't that mean that with saber intent, he would only have needed one move to defeat Fang Yunfei? Many spectators began whispering to one another in the stands. They now believed Xiao Chen's power to be even more unfathomable, as if it had an infinite depth. Bai Qi silently assessed the match in his heart. The earthly lightning tribulation's power isn't all that strong. With the summer saber, I can cut through it with ease. The heavenly lightning tribulation need not be feared either. I can shatter it by using the power of the autumn wind to take away its momentum. The four-season saber technique might not even be necessary if it is only these two movements. Nevertheless, the divine lightning tribulation that has yet to manifest is cause for concern. Regardless of how Bai Qi felt about it, Xiao Chen had always been one of his rivals for the top 3 spots and an opponent he could not avoid. The 19-meter-long golden dragon was flying above Xiao Chen as he left the wind cloud platform. He was revived by the roar of the golden dragon. His worn-out essence recovered very quickly. The contest kept going. They had already advanced to the 61st round by the third day. The audience was able to identify the stronger and weaker competitors using the golden dragons as a guide in the 61st round. By this time, they had identified the 8 giants of this 5-nation youth competition: Sima Lingxuan, Bai Qi, Li Tianhua, Wang Quan, Yu Chengxi, Xuanyuan Zontian, Xiao Chen, and Chu Chaoyun. From among the 8 noble clans, the first 4 were scions. The final 4 came from various backgrounds. The other 4 noble clan scions had suffered 1 or 2 defeats throughout the 60 rounds, ending the 8 noble clans' stronghold on the top 8 places. These 8 individuals, though, were still on a flawless winning streak and had yet to lose. All of their golden dragons measured at least 23 meters in length. The other 4 noble clan scions lost their eligibility to compete for a spot in the top 8 because of the organizers' deliberate decision to arrange for the 8 giants to not see each other before the important matches if they lost 1 or 2 matches prior. The anticipation for a battle of the giants was increased as a result. As the competition went on, it became clearer that the strong were getting stronger and the weak were getting weaker. A powerful competitor like Sima Lingxuan was above the golden dragon, which had already climbed 29 meters. When he would gather all the luck from the 4 dragon veins, his golden dragon would be just a few meters shy of 30 meters. As for the weaker cultivators, like Murong Chong, they had very little luck to begin with. But in addition to their golden dragons failing to escape from their jade pendants, their good fortune was also taken by others. The tiny golden dragons in their jade pendants lost all of their radiance, making them resemble earthworms. All of the world's geniuses came together for the 5-nation youth competition. This place did not care about background or backing, no matter how proud one was of their background or where they came from. Who was a true dragon and who was a false dragon would be revealed here. It was simply concerned with the weapon in one's hand, and luck was increased by strength. Even the scions of the 8 noble clans were not exempt from others stealing the luck of the weak. Match 49, Bai Qi vs Nangong Ziyu. The sun was setting at this precise time. It appeared as though night would shortly fall. After this match, the day's matches would likely come to an end. Nangong Ziyu had only lost twice so far. The first defeat came at the hands of Yu Chengxi in the elimination rounds. However, the 2 encounters Nangong Ziyu lost were not one-sided fights. The second was during the ranking matches against Li Tianhua, a different scion of the noble clan. Her adversaries were also exceptional cultivators. No one underestimated her power despite the fact that she had dropped 2 bouts. In fact, the audience thought she had a chance to place among the top 10. The 20-meter-long golden dragon over her head was just a hair shorter than those of the top 8 right now. Shoo! Bai Qi jumped from the audience and touched down on the wind cloud platform. While continuing to circle above him, the golden dragon dropped with him. The length of Bai Qi's golden dragon was at least 23 meters. It bared its teeth and claws and looked angrily at the golden dragon of Nangong Ziyu. Nangong Ziyu's golden dragon appeared to recoil back in dread under the repression of the larger dragon's aura, not daring to move recklessly. On seeing this scene, Bai Qi smiled gently and said in a pleasant tone, "Nangong Ziyu, you are not a match for me. It is best that you admit defeat now and preserve your strength to deal with the next match." Nangong Ziyu frowned slightly and replied, "We will know if I am truly not a match for you after we fight. Li Tianhua can defeat me only because his state counters mine. Could it be that you consider me someone you can defeat easily?" Bai Qi showed neither joy nor rage on his face. He said calmly, "In that case, make your move. As for Li Tianhua, I have never seen him as an opponent." Splash. The sound of water rushing suddenly erupted. Mountains and lakes suddenly appeared. In the midst of a mountain range, a river ran. Without moving her legs, Nangong Ziyu stood on the moving water and moved with it. But the range of mountains behind her appeared to be shifting as well. Her stunning physique exuded a subtle allure. She swiftly rushed towards Bai Qi in such weird way, expressing the mountains and waters in her heart. Nangong Ziyu was unable to use this technique naturally at the commencement of the five-nation youth competition. She could only allow it to explode when it mattered most. But after numerous significant battles, she was able to get used to this tactic. The outcome of the match would be difficult to predict if she ran against Yu Chengxi again. She also ventured to challenge Bai Qi for this reason. Bang! When the composed Nangong Ziyu approached Bai Qi, she suddenly punched, letting the mountains and waters that had been building explosively in her heart loose. Space was shook as turbulence was generated by a fist wind. Unexpectedly, the strength of this banal punch was just half as strong as Nangong Ziyu's secret weapon. Bai Qi seems a little taken aback. He had not anticipated Nangong Ziyu to get thus far in such a short period of time. He would have to work very hard to beat his opponent if he persisted in hiding his strength. That's okay. I've already accomplished this. The four-season saber technique should be used right now. Now, I should use that for Nangong Ziyu. Bai Qi deliberated for a moment before facing this punch that may shake the universe while slowly placing his right palm on his saber. He then began channeling his forces into the opening move of the four-season saber technique. Splash. Something peculiar transpired. When Bai Qi drew his saber, splashing river sounds could be heard behind him as well. The strength of the seasonal cycle erupted. Nangong Ziyu and Bai Qi's separation suddenly grew exponentially wider. No matter how quick Nangong Ziyu was, she was unable to overtake Bai Qi. He always kept the punch, which could overturn mountains, 1 meter away. His hair and garments were constantly flapping in the strong breeze. Shoo! The cycle of seasons' strength erupted as soon as the saber was fully drawn. Nangong Ziyu was immediately far away from Bai Qi. The force of the cycle of seasons was retreating, not Bai Qi. The momentum of the mountains and waterways that Nangong Ziyu had been brewing for so long was destroyed by the sudden separation. As a result, no further effort was required for this punch to break. Long-lasting spring water, growing warm then cold. The water appeared to be incredibly pure as a river flowed downward. Nangong Ziyu was attacked by Bai Qi after raising his saber. A swift river-like flow of sword qi that alternated between being cold and being warm suddenly charged at her using the state of spring water buried in the cycle of seasons. The strength of the cycle of seasons sword qi was felt by Nangong Ziyu, who was situated within the mountains and waterways. The pressure it emanated grew as it moved across. That saber qi has flashes of being soothing and shiver-inducing. This caused one to pause and think about how to reverse this move. Whatever ruse is at play, this is ultimately just a strand of saber qi. Break for me, immortal mountains and rivers. Nangong Ziyu simply manifested the force of mountains and waters because she was unable to determine whether the state underlying the saber technique was ice or fire. The mountains were symbolized by one punch, and the waters by the other. Together, the mountains and the rivers launched a fierce assault. Bang! When the saber qi approached, it appeared as though the rivers were flowing backwards as the force of nature released itself. Nangong Ziyu's countenance saw a sharp alteration. She intended to use force to destroy the method, but she was astonished to find that the saber qi's power was considerably stronger than her immortal mountains and rivers, making it impossible for her to directly confront it. Nangong Ziyu vomited blood when the state that had been holding her back from blows finally shattered. The strength of the saber qi disrupted the momentum of the mountains and rivers, forcing the rivers to flow backwards. Rumble. Boom, boom, boom. The mountains shook and shock waves erupted in an instant. Nangong Ziyu's enigmatic phenomenon of mountains and waters could not withstand even the slightest of the saber chi's power ripples. This is the power of the four-season saber technique. It's very strong. Unexpectedly, just the first move was almost able to completely break Nangong Ziyu's state of mountains and waters. If she was not Nangong Ziyu, she would not able to endure this long. If other cultivators met with this attack, no matter what state it is, it would shatter instantly. Earlier, Bai Qi managed to break Nangong Ziyu's momentum with half a move. Just by drawing his saber, he shattered Nangong Ziyu's attack. Given this, Bai Qi is stronger than Li Tianhua. In this five-nation youth competition, he is the person with the greatest possibility of defeating Sima Lingxuan. The other noble clan scions are not strong enough. The four-season saber technique, which the crowd had been waiting for a long time, had finally been used, and everyone was thrilled to see it. Their emotions erupted, and their faces turned red. Are you still unwilling to admit defeat? Bai Qi frowned slightly. Clearly, he was somewhat angry. His saber shook as he started to store up his saber intent. Then, he said, 18 heaven-breaking saber strikes. First strike, second strike, third strike, fourth strike. Bai Qi remained immobile while standing firmly. Then he performed another powerful martial technique. A limitless light flashed everywhere as the saber light danced. The saber qi was so dense that it radiated a gentle glow. On the mountains, Nangong Ziyu manifested with a peak small perfection saber intent and saber qi. Bang, bang, bang. The 18 heaven-breaking saber strikes power peaked with the aid of saber intent. A mountain would detonate each time Bai Qi launched an assault. All of the mountains and waters were destroyed after the 18 strikes. Bai Qi thoroughly destroyed all of the mountains and waters, leaving nothing behind. The mountains and waters that Nangong Ziyu was proud of were destroyed. All that was left were the limitless saber light and the resounding saber intent. As Bai Qi had previously stated, a strong state was only a facade before absolute strength once the mountains and waterways were broken. Roar. The golden dragon above her roared when Nangong Ziyu was vanquished. It had been bit into by the 1-meter-long golden dragon of Bai Qi. It started to get dimmer and less animated. The golden dragon, on the other hand, roared incessantly while baring its teeth and claws above Bai Qi. It had a strong aura and a very energetic appearance. In comparison to Sima Lingxuan's 29 meters, it was now 27 meters long. As he thought back to Bai Qi's four-season saber technique, Xiao Chen lost himself in thought. The situation wasn't what he had anticipated. Initially, he believed that the four-season saber technique that Bai Qi learned was similar to his, self-comprehended. It appears that Xiao Chen was mistaken in his assumptions. The route that Bai Qi had traveled was similar to the route taken by the Bai clan's progenitor. Bai Shui most certainly passed on his understanding and manifestations of the four-season saber technique to his offspring after he had fully grasped it. Xiao Chen murmured softly to himself, naturally, it would be much easier to follow the road set by a predecessor, as he began to feel more assured. The four-season saber technique, however, is distinct from the other martial arts. It has no fixed state, making it ideal for self-comprehension. Simply expressed, assuming nothing unexpected happened, Bai Qi would lose to Xiao Chen terribly if he merely followed the course Bai Shui had taken. Even though he had studied the sword, Lu Sufeng was genuinely astounded, since he was able to perceive the power of that long-lasting spring water, growing warm then cold more clearly than the other cultivators. What a strong saber technique, he sighed. It makes sense why some claim the four-season saber technique is the strongest martial art among heaven-ranked saber arts. It does really live up to expectations. All of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's elders gave each other self-congratulatory nods as well. Even if they encountered this saber technique, they would be completely outmatched and would only end up losing badly. First, Elder Zhang Kai questioned, Xiao Chen, how are you progressing with your practice of the final move of the lightning tribulation saber technique? Quote, I don't dare to state that it is equal to the ancestors, but I can summon up 70 to 80% of that might, Xiao Chen replied after giving it some thought. Zhang Kai nodded while grinning. He then appeared to experience some regret. The founding grandfather of our sect invented the lightning tribulation saber technique. You might be able to compete with this Bai Qi on an equal footing if you could understand the state of the wind, state of the clouds, and state of thunder. Ha ha. That is okay as well, though. The best outcome in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's history would already be achieved if you were able to place in the top 10. There's no need to feel overly depressed, Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen held onto his lunar shadow saber while softly grinning. Match 50. Sima Lingxuan vs Gong Yangyu. Since the beginning of the ranking matches, this was the 92nd round. As the final match of the day, this one featured two top 10 favorites, which got the audience really fired up. Gong Yangyu is quite powerful, his golden dragon has grown to a length of 20 meters. In the matches for the rankings, he has only lost 3 times. He still stands a solid chance of moving up to the 9th or 10th rank even if he loses this match. I'm curious as to how much of Sima Lingxuan's strength he can exert pressure on. Sima Lingxuan had been winning rather easily from the beginning. In fact, others say that he is so confident that they find it difficult to breathe. How can they be sure they can defeat him? Quote. Nobody questioned how this game would turn out. The crowd's primary concern was how much of Sima Lingxuan's strength Gong Yangyu could extract. After all, Gong Yangyu was still pretty powerful despite everything. This was especially true of Gong Yangyu's ability to fracture space with his tossing heaven and earth technique. Even some of the competition's giants would not be bold enough to square off against it. What response would Sima Lingxuan have to such a move? Sima Lingxuan was standing on the breeze cloud platform with his clothing billowing in the wind. His attractive face lacked any expression that could be seen. His seeming self-assurance came off as quite natural. Sima Lingxuan was surrounded by a faint glow that could be seen when one gazed. It occasionally flickered, letting one instantly recognize his exceptionality. Gong Yangyu inhaled deeply as Sima Lingxuan's great self-confidence was suppressed. He put an end to his pessimistic thoughts. Then, without speaking any nonsense, he twirled his black staff and charged at Sima Lingxuan. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 7 steps. Gong Yangyu would move, and another afterimage would follow. Each afterimage carrying the staff assumed a distinct stance. His momentum had already reached its peak by the 8th step. Sima Lingxuan's pressure over Gong Yangyu was quickly dissipated. His eyes narrowed as his staff snaked about, whistling in the wind. One of Gong Yangyu's best moves was this. The combined ultimate offensive force of the 7 peak staff strikes would pressure his opponent. Xiao Chen hadn't directly confronted this move back then. He would have had to risk everything to crash head-on against it because it was genuinely very powerful. He had not thought the risk was worth it. 1 step. Just that 1 step, and the situation immediately reversed. Sima Lingxuan was the source of an unending wind. Without pausing, the clouds in the sky roiled, as though a storm was brewing. Sima Lingxuan exuded the limitless kingly state. It dashed towards the clouds before blowing up. Kingship was a tyrannical, honorable, exceptional, and imposing state. Unexpectedly, Sima Lingxuan understood the monarch to be the state. Unexpectedly, Sima Lingxuan already had the aura of a king and exploited it as the state for his major cultivation. According to the saying, all the land under the sky belongs to the king, all the land in the state belongs to the officials. To amass the power of heaven and earth, Gong Yangyu had to go through 7 steps. Ka-cha. Sima Lingxuan pulled his sword and held it in his right hand. He exuded an unmatched and overpowering brilliance while moving with the force of a king. The wind cloud platform underfoot split open when the sword and staff collided. The 2 powerful troops engaged in constant combat. Gong Yangyu persevered while grinding his teeth. He was unexpectedly not pushed back. Wang, wang, wang. Quote. The sword suddenly began to vibrate. The force of the blade increased as a glorious sword intent flowed out. The defenses of Gong Yangyu instantly broke down. He retreated 9 paces before throwing up some blood. King ruling the world. Sima Lingxuan yelled and moved a step more. The great state of kingship advanced brutally, like a river carved out of an old mountain. He wielded his sword, appearing to be the king in charge of the entire world. All of the nearby wind-attributed essence surged toward the blade as if to worship the monarch. This sword strike was incredibly quick thanks to the assistance of the powerful wind that seemed to go on forever. Only acting instinctively, Gong Yangyu used his staff to cover his chest. Bang! Despite completing everything that was mentioned, Gong Yangyu was unable to devote all of his essence on his defense due to time constraints. His staff was hacked in half when the sword cut it in half. Gong Yangyu flew backwards like a kite with a broken string after being hit by the sword wind. Before tumbling to the ground, he violently rebounded off the wind cloud barrier after colliding with it. Gong Yangyu bowed his head. His ragged garments revealed horrifying sword wounds all over his chest. The sword's focus on the wounds had not yet gone, perhaps impeding healing. He was aware that he was already down. The margin was too wide, and he had just about managed to block 2 moves. He smiled bitterly to himself, wondering if there was anyone who could defeat Sima Lingxuan. My skills are not up to par. I, Gong Yangyu, admit defeat. Gong Yangyu got up and conceded the match, opting not to continue fighting. Sima Lingxuan put his weapon away. His golden dragon rose to a height of 29.5 meters after devouring Gong Yangyu's golden dragon. It was only half a meter short of the 30-meter mark. I believe Sima Lingxuan's true power to be this. Unexpectedly, from the state of wind and cloud, he was able to understand the higher-level state of kingship. Sima Lingxuan is far more powerful than he was during the previous 5-nation youth competition. The rate of his growth is too terrifying. At last, we have discovered what gives him the courage to not be afraid of the 4-season saber technique. He should be able to withstand the power of the seasons cycling by employing the state of kingship to execute a peak sword technique. However, we won't fully know if it's sufficient until they engage in combat. They haven't yet displayed all of their combined strength. Tomorrow will undoubtedly be a thrilling clash of the giants. However, I believe Sima Lingxuan has a better chance of winning. The strength of Bai Qi has only been partially disclosed, what we have seen is merely the tip of the iceberg. Sima Lingxuan finally displayed the strength that earned him the top seed in this day's final match. He defeated Gong Yangyu, who had placed 9th in the previous 5-nation youth competition. In just 2 moves, he offered no resistance. Sima Lingxuan's head's golden dragon caught Li Tianhua's attention. He shook his head and grinned sourly after that. It is truly tragic to be in the same generation as him. He seems to be the center of attention from every star in the sky. The rest of us have evolved into his supporting cast to balance him. Xuanyuan Zontian's haughty and obstinate visage displayed a somber expression. He chuckled and remarked, "State of kingship, what a coincidence," after a while. The 8 giants had not yet engaged in combat despite the completion of 92 rounds. That indicated that their encounter in the 8 rounds of tomorrow was a given. The 8 giants had continued their winning streak from the beginning of the ranking matches. Currently, the top 5 players were Sima Lingxuan, Li Tianhua, Bai Qi, Wang Quan, Chu Chaoyun, Xuanyuan Zontian, Yu Chengxi, and Xiao Chen. Since the beginning of time, it had been understood that while it was difficult to distinguish the best in academics, the best would be evident in martial arts. How is it possible for 8 persons to share the first rank? The winners and losers among these 8 would be determined in tomorrow's Battle of the Giants. Additionally, the true dragon ranking would be repaired for good. Who would rank at the top and seize the luck of the world, becoming the main character of this era? Before tomorrow ended, the curtains would fall on this prelude. The era of genius would truly begin at that moment. Finally, the long night ended amid the boisterous chatter of the audience. Cultivators crowded the viewing areas. The audience was making a lot of noise. The mood was already extremely heated before the bouts even began. Everyone was anticipating the giants' conflicts. In order to find out who would be the leading figure of this era, the public eagerly anticipated the moment when the true heroes would achieve their zenith. First match, Lu Xiaoyun vs Lin Fei. The 93rd round's first game officially started. Everyone was disappointed since it wasn't the contest between the giants that they were hoping for. The 2 individuals on the wind cloud platform, however, were authorities in their respective disciplines. Their game wouldn't be monotonous. The brilliant bladesman Lin Fei dared not allow Lu Xiaoyun to be negligent in his presence. He would not repeat his error with Chu Chaoyun, so he launched into action with all of his might. Lin Fei was now far more mature than he had been when the 5-nation youth competition first began. He had become incredibly patient, and the arrogance in his eyes had been replaced with seriousness and prudence. Dang! Dang! Dang. Quote. Sword imagery was prevalent as saber lights sparkled everywhere. In the air, sword and saber chi collided. The two seemed to have equal amounts of strength. Neither gave way to the other when the sword intent and the saber intent met. However, Lu Xiaoyun's ice state was a little more potent than Lin Fei's earth condition. From a distance, Lu Xiaoyun appeared to be in the lead. All of this, though, was just fleeting. That Lin Fei still possessed his earth vein saber technique was widely known. Lu Xiaoyun would be able to win if he was able to stop that erratic earth vein saber technique. It would be difficult to predict the outcome if he was unable to block it. Shoo. As the fight went on, the silent Lin Fei eventually discovered a good opportunity to use the challenging earth vein saber technique. Cold saber chi shot through the ice on the ground and shot swiftly in the direction of Lu Xiaoyun's chest. Lu Xiaoyun relaxedly grinned while remaining calm. I've been waiting for a very long time, he said. Icy vanishing sword. The temperature dropped rapidly in the area. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, Lu Xiaoyun's upper body shook and he split in two, shooting out two flickering sword lights. Both Lin Fei's strike and the saber chi that emerged from below were stopped by opposing figures. The two figures combined, and from Lu Xiaoyun's sword, a snow-white sword chi that was once frigid state of ice shot out and knocked Lin Fei back. The earth vein saber technique had failed, the saber intent was powerless, and Lin Fei's condition had weakened slightly. After 100 moves, Lin Fei was forced to concede defeat helplessly. Lu Xiaoyun sheathed his sword and muttered, "You went easy." Quote. With this match, Lu Xiaoyun had atoned for his mistakes. He had not lost to Chu Chaoyun because of a lack of strength or a significant disparity in their strengths. He had merely been negligent.